a lot has happened in the light heavyweight division surrounding your fighters over the last couple of weeks. Well, not even a week, probably a week or even. Let's just start off with the one dating back the furthest. Buatsi-Vlasov will no longer be facing Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi pulling out through a hand injury. I just wanted to get your reaction to that first and foremost.
Look, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. We were very excited when we were able to put that fight together for Buatsi-Vlasov to fight Joshua Buatsi. Buatsi is the young up-and-comer, 18-0, very good puncher. But look, you know, I spent 7 weeks negotiating that fight before they finally agreed to fighting Buatsi-Vlasov. And once we had the contract signed, we were very excited because we thought that this was a step too big for Joshua Buatsi. And a lot of people from a lot of different boxing companies around the world that I was talking to all had the same opinion. They all thought that Buatsi-Vlasov, his awkwardness, his skill level, his experience, his durability would test Buatsi like no other fight that he had ever been in. And so when we woke up during the week, I think it was Wednesday morning, and I heard that Buatsi had pulled out of the fight, I was very disappointed. And, you know, Max was very disappointed. So look, we're hoping that when Buatsi recovers from his injury, that they will look at Buatsi-Vlasov and reschedule that fight, because you know the people who know Buatsi-Vlasov, the guys who watched him fight as a super middleweight, as a light heavyweight, as a cruiserweight, they know how good this guy is. Those who watched him fight Joe Smith in the WBO World Light Heavyweight title this year know that it was a hometown decision for Joe Smith. It was a fight that Maxime had to win 7 of the 12 rounds. And he, in my opinion, he comfortably did. And we were robbed by a razor-thin margin, and Joe Smith became the champion. But so we're hoping that we can put that fight back on again.
Have you had any indication from Matchroom that they'd look to make the Buatsi fight once his hand's recovered, or?
No, strangely enough, you know, my discussions with Frank Smith were, you know, we'll definitely keep Max in mind, and you know, we'll look at Max for maybe some other opponents as well. So that's where we're at the moment.
So for Max, then, who is he looking at? Who is he considering as his next opponent? Because I don't imagine he wants to hang around on the off chance that he'll face Joshua Buatsi, because he wants to get back into the world scene and the world mix. We've
just Oleg Bogdanov, my partner in Russia, and Andrei Andreev, the promoter of Max. We're actually looking at a show at the moment for Max to fight in his hometown in Samara. Sometime in December. So we definitely want to give him a fight this year. Like, he's been preparing well, his training's been going great, he needs the fight, and we're in the process of scheduling him a fight at the moment.
I mean, moving away from Max and on to Umar Salamov. Now, everybody was anticipating we would see him face Joe Smith Jr., whether it be before the year's out or early next year. Some reports broke yesterday that Umar's had visa issues, and now Joe Smith Jr. will face Callum Johnson on January 15th. Can you just clarify or clear up as to that entire situation and where things stand?
Yes, unfortunately, that fight between Joe Smith and Umar Salamov is off, and we've had enormous trouble with visas this year. Umar's visa has been suspended for administrative processing. We were unable to bring him to the US for that fight, and he is no longer the mandatory challenger to fight Joe Smith. This was the biggest fight in Umar's career, and also the biggest disappointment, as you can imagine. He's had one fight in the last 2 years. We were in a four-way box-off about a year ago to find out who was going to become the new WBO champion. And as it worked out, the WBO had Salamov fighting Vlasov, and at that time, Salamov tested positive for COVID. This is when things were crazy with COVID, and he had to pull out of the fight. We were able to keep him in the box-off. He moved to the mandatory. Maxim Vlasov at that time was given the fight against Joe Smith. Maxim came to Vegas. He trained here in our gym. My son Taylor ran his training camp for 6 weeks, and we go into the bubble, the top-ranked bubble, and Max mysteriously develops COVID after being tested 5 times in the 14 days before that and being negative every time. So he's out with COVID, and then we've got, they finally make that fight earlier on this year. Smith gets a razor-thin controversial decision against Vlasov, and Umar Salamov's been sitting there in the mandatory to fight Joe Smith, and about 2 months ago, Joe Smith tests positive for COVID. So look, it's been a crazy, frustrating time where all the parties have been affected by this virus. But it's not the virus that stopped Umar Salamov from fighting Joe Smith on January the 15th. It is the fact that we cannot get him a visa to come into the US at the moment because of it being suspended. We've tried all avenues, as you could imagine, for a fight of this caliber, a world title fight for Umar Salamov, and by far probably 10 times the biggest purse he'd received in his career. We went everywhere, right up to using a local senator to ring the US consulate. All the agencies have been closed in Russia, so we've actually had to try to use US consulates in other countries, and Umar's had several appointments in Almaty in Kazakhstan. It's been a frustrating time, and our whole team, Oleg Bogdanov, myself, Umar and his family, you know, we were so disappointed. My son Taylor had put his training camp together. We'd booked all the sparring, everything. We'd had everything arranged for the very, very best Umar Salamov that we could possibly get. So that fight has now gone to Callum Johnson, who's fighting, as you mentioned, on January the 15th. We had a call literally 2 or 3 days ago. Would Salamov be interested in fighting Dmitry Bivol for the WBA title? And after the disappointments and the frustration, and Umar doing all this training and having nothing to show for it, you know, we had a quick discussion amongst our team, and we thought, yes, it's not ideal, it's under 4 weeks, but he's been sparring, he's been training, he's in very good shape. We decided to take the fight, and that fight was actually signed this morning for Umar Salamov to fight Dmitry Bivol on December the 11th in Russia.
Not the answer I was expecting, Kevin. So obviously straight into Bivol versus Salamov then. How do preparations change heading into that? If obviously Umar can't get over here to train, right, I imagine he'll just finish the last couple of weeks there before you can travel out?
He will stay with the trainer that's been training him for the last several months. Oleg Bogdanov, he's done a great job with booking the sparring. It's, in fact, funny story, Salamov's actually going to be doing some work with Maxim Vlasov. And Vlasov, even though his fight's fallen through, but we're rescheduling him for December, so they're going to be doing some sparring together. Look, Dmitry Bivol's a very good fighter, technically very sound. He's made 6 defenses of the WBA light heavyweight title. Not the biggest light heavyweight. you know, a little over 6 foot. Salamov 6'3.5". We saw in Bivol's last fight when he fought Craig Richards in the UK. You know, Richards' height and reach gave him some problems. I need Salamov to be a lot busier than what Richards was. I know that Umar hits a lot harder than Richards. You know, it's a fight that I think will, because of the short notice, will go in as a heavy underdog. But it's a fight that I like, and I think it's a fight that Umar likes. When everything's against you and people say you can't do it, that's when you're likely to pull out your best and biggest performance. And we'll be looking for one of those for Umar Salamov. So after a year where he lost nearly everything, we've now salvaged him a WBA world title fight on December the 11th.
Well, Kevin, we will leave that there now because I know people are just starting to turn up and you've got a busy day ahead of you. Like I say, a bit of a twist ending to this interview, but I appreciate what I imagine is the exclusive. So best of luck with kind of the rest of preparations with the team, and good luck with Umar and with Maxim with the months ahead. And thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Hey, Andy, it's always a pleasure to have you in the gym, and travel safe, my friend. Enjoy the Bud Crawford Porter fight this weekend. Travel safe back home, and see you again soon.